Today is a beautiful day, Saturday. This is how we do it every 2 weeks. Today we're going to be talking about fathers, the do's and the don'ts as a man, and especially as a father. But before we get started, let me give a shout out to my honey, my baby, Phyllis. Peace. That's my wife, y'all.
That's the sugar right there.
Yeah, that's my girl. She at the house chilling. Also, I'm going to introduce you to my co-host, Michael Stitt.
What's up, family? What's happening? Let's chop it up about these daddy dads today. How's everybody doing?
Everybody should be doing pretty good today. So, we're going to be talking about fathers, the do's and the don't. But before we get started, I want to give out another shout out to my other co-host, my brother, Minister Phil Robinson.
I hate to say this, man, but my Yankees got chopped up last night, and I don't really appreciate it. And I don't like your attitude this morning, TC. But
Good Cleveland Indians.
We're gonna get through it though.
Hey Phil, we was chop.
You know what the Indians did? They took New York, tied them to the stake, and chopped them up.
That's okay.
Chopped them up.
But the sun is shining. God is good, and I got my family that came down from New York to come hang out with me at the baseball game last night, and it makes me feel really good. So I feel like we got a heavy hitter on the set as well today.
We do that. Now that's one of our special guests. Why don't you introduce him?
Let me introduce him. This is my brother, my big brother, Tony Robinson.
Big brother?
Not just my big brother, but my mentor.
Okay.
And he's the one that helps keep me in line. We call him Papa Bear, but Tony Robinson. Chopping it up with us a little bit today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, who you want to give a shout out to, Tony?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to my wife, Edna Robinson.
All right.
She traveled all the way to Cleveland with me.
Edna! Hey, I know Edna, y'all.
We did take on a whooping last night, but we're thankful to be here, and the weather is warmer. We were wearing coats in Rochester, New York just a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. Well, my wife was wearing a coat just last night.
She might have been wearing a coat of many colors.
Well, who do you want to give a shout out to, Phil?
Always want to give a shout out to my wife. She's always there. That's my rib, my backbone. That's my boot thing. That's my everything. Hey, Steph, what's happening? We had a lot of guests over at the house yesterday. We had some family come down. Some of my friends come down from Toledo for the game. So we was about 10 deep in the game last night. All Yankee fans. And like I said, we got chop. Yeah, it's all good though. It's all good.
That's good.
It's good. It's a good day to be amongst the land of the living. God is blessing us. It's a good day. The sun is shining. I believe people are getting their healings. I believe people are getting their deliverance. I believe people are getting their everything that they're asking from God. I think God is opening up these heavens. If you're willing to ask Him for these things, I think God is opening up these heavens for us to get what we need right now in this season.
Right now.
So I'm happy that God is doing what He's doing. I want to be in that number. So this is good. This is a good day. It's a good day. It's a good day.
Let's get this party started.
Oh boy.
We next week is Father's Day. So I thought it was pretty good to, talk about fathers, what it takes to be a father, the do's and the don'ts as a father, My thing is, as a father, you have a lot of responsibility. What do you think about that, Phil?
As a father, we have to be, first off, we got to hear from God. Secondly, as fathers, we have to be the tone setters. You see, in a lot of different ways, we're tone setters for good, and we're the tone setters for bad. And I think that's some of the things that we're going to talk about today, just being the tone setter. So as a father, you have to set the tone, and you have to keep the pulse of what's going on in that house, whether it be with the kids, whether it be with your wife, with the kids, with the outsiders, with the insiders, with everybody. We got to set the tone. We have to decree a thing. We got to declare a thing. And I just think, TC, that it's very important as a father to be a tone setter. You have to set the atmosphere for your house. And as a tone setter, you set that atmosphere. whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You said it, and you stand by it. And I just like to think that with fathers, just being a tone setter is important because you have to set the standard for the house.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that. Mike, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I just think, I had a great father, and, he was the leader of the household, and my mom, was the spiritual leader, and I think they both kind of partnered together in doing the, just leading the household, and they taught us well, all the rights, the wrongs. He was in church with us every Sunday, and toward the end it was church or golf, depending on the season.
Yeah, it's like that. Huh?
You can have church on the golf course. Come on, now. Church is where you at. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he went to golf, and the rest of us went to church. But he was very instrumental in just teaching me how to be a father, how to be a man, and how to be a positive example to those that are following you.
All right, Mike. I like that. Because a lot of times, in order for us to be a good father, we must have an example. Everybody have a role model. Everybody have an example how to be a better person. But we have a special guest, and Mike, why don't you introduce him?
Yeah, so this is a longtime friend of mine. He is the director of the Fatherhood Initiative in Cuyahoga County.
Thank you, Mike.
And this is Al Grimes. So let's welcome Al Grimes to Chop It Up.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Welcome.
So Al, tell us a little bit about what you do with the Fatherhood Initiative.
Okay. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Mike, I want to tell you right off the bat that we're having our 15th annual Fatherhood Conference a week from yesterday on June 14th at the Hilton Garden Inn downtown. There'll be a resource fair, town hall meeting, workshops, and awards luncheon. The keynote speaker this year is Brad Sellers.
Oh, really?
Former NBA star and now mayor of Warrensville. So I want to let all the listeners know that you can come. It's free with registration. You can register at fatherhoodinitiative.cuyahogacounty.us or call our office at 348-3967. So with that said, the Fatherhood Initiative is a labor of love for me because, like you said, my dad was involved in my life, right from the beginning, and he set a really good example for me. But things are a little different these days in that you have many, many more single parenthoods. So the first and most important thing for fathers is to be involved, whether you're living in the same house with the child or not. Just because you're not living in the same house with your child, you need to stay involved as an equal parent as the mom. And, you need to do the things right up front necessary to make sure that you're starting out on equal footing, In the state of Ohio, the law says that if a child is born to unmarried parents, custody goes to the mom. So the dad, right off the rip, has to establish paternity and make sure who, you're the real father, because you don't want that question to come down, the road. Hey, that's not yours anyway.
18 years later.
Right. So you want to make sure and that gives your child a sense of identity, unless you give blood and all of the medical records, school records, and all that. And then the second thing is, you have to go to juvenile court and establish your legal custody and visitation rights. Okay, so that they're going to do a parenting plan that says, hey, you got the child on this day, she's got them on that day, you got it this birthday, she got it next birthday, you got a set of guidelines that shows exactly this is what the legal parent rights are. Mm-hmm. And then when you get later on and she's, it's he say, she say, then you guys may disagree, and dads come to you all the time and say, she won't let me see my child. Well, so wait a minute, what do you mean she won't let you? Did you do X, Y, Z? If you did that, you're on equal ground. Yes. And they said, well, man, I don't feel like going down. I said, hey, how deep is your love for your child? Mm. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to just take the time to go down here and establish your equal rights, how serious are you about being a father? Right. So, I heard you, you're saying, what does it take to be a good dad? First of all, it takes involvement. And guys, we know that parenting is not easy all the time.
That's right.
It takes hard work. You know, it takes dedication. It takes being there. So being a good father, not only does it doesn't just start when the child is born. It actually starts when you find out you're having a child. So that the mother knows, hey, she's not stressing out because, you know, she doesn't know that whether you're going to be involved or not, or whether she got to wait to get to the hospital, or whether, you know. So, and you know, studies have shown that, you know, especially African American mothers, when they go through a lot of stress during pregnancy about different things, they're more likely to have a baby premature and likely to have infant mortality. That's why infant mortality is kind of high in our neighborhood. So, you know, your job as a dad starts when you find out you can have a child. You're going to say, hey, I want my child to be born healthy, so I'm going to support the mother of my child, whether we're together or not, because you know, my number one priority is my baby.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I did a speech a couple of days ago, and I'll let you guys back in. You know, when we first have kids, we say, hey, you know, my son is going to be a doctor or my daughter is going to be a lawyer, right?
Right.
Do you know how much work you got to put in for your child to get to that point?
Come on.
You know, we're talking about doing good in grade school, junior high, supporting them in high school, supporting them in college, and then supporting them, you know, at medical school or law school.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
they don't make that, you know, they don't make that jump unless you're involved from the beginning. So, you know, how much are you willing to put in?
Well, you said a key point earlier in your statement, your comments. You were saying how deep is your love, and that's what basically it boiled down to. How strong is your love? Because you know, this is a Christian-based show, and God loved us so much, He prepared the world before we got here because of His love. And like you were saying, you got to be with from grade school, elementary school, junior high. That's a lot of love to show them, and it's a lot of support and a lot of effort, a lot of work. It's work, and it boiled down. It's a lot of love. You know, y'all want to comment on that?
If I can jump in real quick, and I'm going to pass this to my brother Tony in a second. As the gentleman was speaking just now, it just bared witness to my spirit because I was a county worker for 24 years. I just retired in January, and a lot of the young guys that I would speak to, even though I had to arrest them, I got a chance to minister to them in the back of my police car. And a lot of times I would get a chance to just listen to what they have to say, and they feel like just in life there's no more hope. And just in life they feel like they're disqualified. And I would always use a word for them to encourage them, and the word would be commitment. And that's the word that I want to pass to my brother. You have to be committed from the beginning. You have to be committed in everything that you do. Now, you talked about, the gentleman just talked about how you declare a thing where you want your children to be doctors and lawyers, and you want them to be these great people. But where's your commitment level as a father and even as a mother? Because you have some mothers that's trying to play both roles, but there can only be one father. I just want to, I like to set that straight. And people might argue with me about this, but a mother cannot be a father. A father is a father and a mother is a mother. But I think a mother will take on some of these responsibilities to try to ad-lib and do what needs to be done to try to instill in the children's life some of the things of a father. But listen, it's so important for fathers to be there, but they don't realize the commitment level starting from inception. Starting from that baby being conceived, and starting from that first phone call or that first text message that says, I'm pregnant. Your commitment level starts right there.
That's right. That's right.
That commitment is just the word commitment.
Right.
And I'm just going to pass that off to my brother right there and just let him just find out, what do you feel about commitment?
You talk about the word commitment. I do know that we have broken families where there's not a father in the house, and the mother is raising the children. But I want to segue into commitment for the man that has a desire to be married to the woman and want to have children. Marriage is important. Marriage is under attack. Thank God my brother and myself have had a family that's been intact our whole time until our parents were deceased. Marriage is so important to me and my 5 daughters. My wife and I, over the last 10 years, we make it our business to go to marriage conferences to work on the marriage.
That's good.
Because I want my daughters to see that they have a committed father who has a high interest in the marriage, to see the marriage work under God, and then move forward and keep that same commitment with my children so that they see what an intact family looks like, how it works. A father being in the lead, being the provider, being the love, being the support for not only the children, because most parents think about the children and they forget about the other spouse, but thinking about the whole family as a unit and supporting it all the way through. So being a father is huge, from inception to having these children be grown and being able to stand on their own and move forward in life.
Now, Al, I know you have a passion for fathers, and,
Yes.
and I respect that. And then, what brought that on?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, my dad was a major influence in my life. And, a lot of people talk about growing up in single parent households, and they talk about growing up with their moms. But my experience was a little bit different, is that, and I tell this story because I've been there. When I was 7 years old, I woke up one morning and my mom had moved from Ohio to California.
Wow.
California, right? And my dad was left with me and my younger brother. And I remember, I cried for 2 weeks. My mama's gone, But it was my pop who came into the room and told me and my brother, it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
I'm here for you. And the other thing he didn't do, he didn't criticize my mom. He made us write my mom once a week to tell her how we were doing.
Now, let me jump in there.
So that's what I saw.
No, that's good.
Let me jump in there, because that's remarkable. Because that just shows that maturity, love, and understanding of the situation. Because I don't know if I would be able to do that. I'll probably bash. And I like just keep it real, fellas. That's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
And for you not to bash the other person, I wouldn't like be going off now like that, but you be hurt, and you do that out of hurt and pain. And for your father not to do that, that's remarkable, and I give him kudos for that. That's a good daddy.
And see, the thing is, as children, we don't know. I don't know what the issue was with my mom. Maybe, they had some things. He said, look, you got to go. You got to work out your stuff. You got to be all you can be. Now, I don't, later on in life, I found that they had some legitimate issues. But the fact of the matter is, he didn't let that get in his way.
Yes.
Matter of fact, my mom came back to Cleveland 3 years later. We had a great relationship with both of them. But that showed me, man, that what a real man is,
Yes.
And I'm quite frankly, guys, I got a group of friends that I hang out with, okay? And it's a couple of different principles you got to have before you can hang out with us. Number one, you got to love your kids. Mm-hmm. Number two, you got to love your mama. Mm-hmm. And number three, you can't bash the mother of your babies.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't fit that criteria, I'm not really gonna hang around with you, because if you're gonna do those things, what I got coming? Right? You know what I'm saying? That's that moral principles we got, man.
Because while you bashing the mother of your children, people don't realize it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Because guess what? I try to live by this principle. And I cannot get mad at how a person treats me, because that's how they decide to treat me. But I don't want God mad at me, because he's going to hold me accountable for how I treat them.
Right.
So that's that. You got some accountability in there, and you just don't want to be counterproductive in anything that you do. Right. And Al, one of the things that I'd like to ask you on the panel is, you have two sides of the spectrum. You have the father that just refuses to be in the home, refuses to be a father, refuses to be a parent, and that can cause the family functioning unit to go awry. And then you have the other spectrum where you have the father that 100% wants to be in this kid's life, wants to have a relationship, wants to be a productive father, wants to love their child, want to pour into their child. What do you tell the young men that's watching this show?
Well, I tell young men that's watching this show, listen, when two parents are involved, children are less likely to drop out of school. They're less likely to do drugs. They're less likely to become teen parents, man. They're less likely to go to jail. When you are involved, your child stands a better chance of, succeeding, being productive. And, after being this thing for a little while, my patience is short sometimes for crap, if you will, and I tell guys right off time, we talk about needing examples and stuff, but the fact of the matter is, you can go one or two ways. You can say, hey, my daddy wasn't involved, so I ain't gonna be involved either, right? Or you can say, but since my dad wasn't involved, I'm gonna make darn sure my kids don't go through the same thing. Right. I am going to be the difference maker because I know what it meant to me. So you got choices, guys. Yeah. Like we said before, being a parent is big boy stuff.
Yes.
How much of a big boy do you want to be?
And that's a good point because, like I said, being a parent is big boy stuff. So we don't need to have kids unless we are grown and ready to make that responsibility. And I'm with the Bible until you get married. But if you call them, if you got a question or a comment, come on, call in or text in 216-298-1554. It's easy to do. Let's give us a call and make a statement, and we'll listen to you. Mike, what you think about what's going on with the fathers, the do's and the don'ts?
I like everything that Al was saying, and especially when Phil said that mothers can't be dads. It takes a man to raise a man, and while mothers have been doing a phenomenal job of raising kids by themselves because of the lack of us standing up, they still, that's why I think that's why our guys are lost these days. A lot of them are lost these days, is that they didn't have a male role model. The male role model that they had are not the ones that you want them looking at, and that's where we're at today. So, I would really like to see some type of movement, I guess, to really get men back involved with raising kids.
Well, let's ask Tony. He's an educator.
Well,
Tony, what you think?
One of the things that we do in Rochester, New York, we have a manhood initiative. And we start with young men from the elementary school age up to high school and completion of high school. And we have peer mentors come in to support these young people inside the school, to have weekly conversations, to do reading initiatives, walking your child to school. Really, it's about re-engaging the father who is absent, either by choice or not by choice, to reintroduce them to the child in the school setting so that we have someone to work with that's going to be one of our supports. So that's highly important. It's something that it's working rather well at times because we have ebbs and flows in Rochester with transient population coming from the Caribbean, moving from Rochester to Buffalo or Syracuse. But with the churches that are involved with us, we continue to partner with them. With the Greek fraternities, we partner with them as well.
Now, Al, let me ask you a question. How do we, as fathers, with our schedule, how do we interact with our family when we have two jobs? Because nowadays it's tough. Right. Fathers are busy. Fathers wear many hats.
Yes.
So how do we maintain a good relationship with the wife, with the kids, and if we work in two jobs? Because as we all men, as being a man, women sometimes like, oh, you work too much, and that's how we show love. It's about providing. Am I right? We provide, but sometimes we go overboard. How do we handle that?
The thing is, what I said before, I talked about two parents working together. Two parents working together. When you got two parents working together, you'd be amazed at how much you can get accomplished because of the fact that at some point in time, my father worked 2 full-time 8-hour jobs. But my mom came back and they they worked it out. And let me tell you, here's what you can do, man. My dad went to Morris Brown. You guys, but then dropped out. Dropped out. To go to Army, right? So worked in the factory for 35 years, right? I graduated from Ohio Northern University. One of my brothers graduated from Findlay College. A third brother graduated from Eastern Michigan. My baby brother graduated from Yale.
Come on now.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is that. This is somebody working 2 full-time jobs and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you got to work collaboratively. You got to work collaboratively. Number one, with the mother of your child. It's interesting. You mentioned marriage before, right?
Yes.
I mentioned I had a room full of men and women, right? Parents, right? And I said, you know what? I told one of the guys, I said, you know what? Here's a way you can see your child every day. He said, wow. I said, marry the mama. They looked at me like my head. You know what I'm saying? Now, what does that tell you?
Yes.
What does that tell you about what people are thinking? Come on, that's the way people are thinking. Come on, guys. You know what that is? It's selfish. You're not thinking about that baby, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to do this. I want to do that. I got this going. I got that going. But my baby, you just lost in the shuffle. You know what I mean? And one other thing I was talking about. And the other thing is, there are a lot of good dads out here.
Yes, indeed.
Doing what they need to do. We don't talk about that a lot. But there's some, that's from my father who calls us celebrate healthy father-child relationships. And there's a lot of interest in this. Through the 12 programs I fund, I probably have 6,000 dads a year. And then I have another 500 at the conference. And then we do a Father's Walk to School event.
Yes.
We have 163 schools and 15,000 dads. So throughout the year, we have about 24,000 dads, staying involved. And, a lot of times, they want to be involved. They just need some guidance in those kind of things. And how to be a dad. And we have and the other thing is, guys, sometimes the time that you spend with your child is important, but the quality of time.
Yes.
You have to be there for your child financially and emotionally.
Yes.
You can be buying the Jordans and Adidas stuff.
Not mean nothing.
But you know what? If when your child comes home from school, you got an issue with being bullied, or you got this girl that's pushing up on him, I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
You got to be there to talk to him, man. You know what I mean? Because we got situations now. Yeah, real situation, right? You got a guy here standing with a girl, and she's like, if you're all that, come get this, right? Now you got the girls on one side of the room. They looking to see, what you gonna do. You got the boys on the other side. Come on now, what you gonna do? So he's stuck, right? He like, which way do I go? I don't really I'm not really ready for this, but I got this peer pressure coming from both sides. Now, if you've had that conversation with him, and you say, hey man, that's not about being a man, it's an easy decision. Hey babe, if it's that good, keep it, and we'll move on a little bit later. But they don't have the wherewithal to make those decisions if they haven't talked to their daddy, or some male figure that's saying, hey man, that's not what makes you a man, you know what I mean?
But
don't be afraid to make those hard decisions.
Yeah. You know what, me, I was growing up, I had a father in the house, and, he was doing, his own thing, but I was unable to talk to my father because a lot of things he didn't know. And sometimes our fathers don't know things, and in a situation like that, it's hard to go to your father, or you have to find somebody else. But going back to the other thing about the commitment, like you said, marry that girl or that woman. I like that because that's commitment. That's selfishness when you don't. Phil, you want to talk about that a little bit? How do we get guys to commit? And most of all, how do we get these women not to fall in the trap, hooking up with guys that are not ready for commitment?
Or women that are not ready for it.
Especially if you got daughters.
That's
right. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Al, for bringing that up. When you say when you have daughters,
Yeah.
One of the things that I share with my daughters on a regular basis, and they are grown women now, is that we've raised you to understand what the commitments of marriage are. We've raised you to understand who you are as a woman and what God has given to you as a gift. And in addition, I want you to be married and joined together with a man who has Christian values, for one. And number two, that I don't believe in dating. I believe in courtship heading towards marriage. That may be a conservative way of thinking, but that is my way of thinking. And that's under God's order.
Tony,
that is the way that it should be.
Let me just cut you off. Explain the difference between courting and dating so
Yes.
people would know.
Yes.
Because they may not like, what's the difference?
Dating, my understanding of dating is just taking a young woman out for fun, adventure. Wherever the relationship goes is how people believe that they are supposed to date. But if you are courting somebody, it is important to understand who that family is that you would like to be engaged in.
That's good.
Number one, where are your beliefs and what do you believe? Number two. Number three, that you are moving forward and courting this young woman or young man and leading in the direction of marriage. So in my understanding of courtship, it's all leading towards the kingdom, to marriage, and building a family and a relationship.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I can comment. I have two daughters, both grown now, and both doing very well. I got a daughter that's 38. She got great son-in-law, same values as me, and actually they just had triplets, 3 boys. I got triplet boys, man, along with some other grandchildren that they have. But early on in their relationship, and early on in my baby's daughter relationship, when they were dating guys, hey, they know sooner or later they had to go to dad. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna meet me. Okay. Not only are they gonna meet me, but I want to know about their daddy, their mom, their household. I want to know what their environment is, and our our girls and our boys. They need, what? Our kids need support. And I'm going to say this because I say this more and more. For parents out there, when you cut off the dad, when you cut off the mom, a lot of times you're not only cutting them off, you're cutting off a whole side of the family. You're cutting off the whole paternal side of the family. You're talking about the other grandparents, the other cousins, the other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we all want to say it takes a village to raise a child, right? But you cut off half the village just because you bugging with the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how we want what's best for our kids. Well, if you want what's best for our kids, you want them to have as much support as they can. And all our families got some demons and some bad things, right? So don't think your family is great and somebody else's family is not good. You know what I'm saying? So you take with the best of both worlds, and you let your kids have that support.
I just remember, growing up, and anytime we wanted to go over someone else's house, some of our friends' house, mom and dad said, well, let's meet the parents first. And they knew who those parents were, what kind of values they had, what they believed in, before we were able to even spend the night or go over there and hang out.
And if they didn't have them vows, you wouldn't happen.
It wasn't happening.
That's right.
No, you're not going over there.
That's right.
I just want to jump in real quick to see if I can.
Yeah.
I like what Al was saying, and there's a force. I just want to add in on a little bit to what you said, Al. There's like a driving force behind everything that happens to keep families separated. And we know who it is. We know it's the adversary. We know it's the devil, because the devil hates marriages,
Come on.
and he hates family.
Yes, he does.
Actually, I'm gonna tell you what the devil hates. He hates everything that's good, and that comes from God. The good and perfect gifts that come from God. A great family is a gift from God. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to just I always got to jump in, and I got to read the scripture to the fellas, and I want to go to Romans 8:28, and the Bible says, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." So I just want to go back to the beginning part of that scripture, and it says, "And we know that all things." Now, there's a couple of things that these fathers go through that falls under this all. And under this all, it's all things. All things are, she's not letting me see my son. She's not letting me see my daughter. All things. Listen, you got to have a job if you want to be with me. Right. You ain't paying, you ain't seeing this kid. Right. That falls under all things as well. Then you have just the straight out, I don't want to be bothered with you, so you ain't going to see your kid, or you're not going to see. Listen, so that falls under all things. So the Bible says in Romans 8:28, "And we know that all things work together for good for those that love God." So all of these driving forces that's designed to work against us is working for our good, because the Bible says that all things work good for those who love God. I love God. So the period of time that I had to go through where my son's mothers did not want me to be involved in their life, I didn't know it at that time, but I know it today, that it was all working for my good. All these things was working for, all of these bad things were not necessarily bad things, they were good things. If you look at how the Bible is saying it. So it says, "And we know that all things work together for good for those that love God." I love God. So every piece of hell and every piece of torment that you're putting me through, it's working together for my good.
Right.
So do whatever you want to do, devil, because I know that you're going to and from, and you're looking for who you can devour. Yeah. But if you believe this Bible, and if you believe what's in these 66 books, you have to say to yourself, "And we know all things work together for good for those that love God, to those who are called according to his purpose." I know I'm called. I know every man at this table is called according to God's purpose. Al, I've been wanting to meet you for years. I've been listening to you do your promos on the radio, and I thank God that I finally got a chance to meet you, because I don't think you realize what you're doing, how it's impacting the kingdom. See, this is kingdom. And guess what? The Fatherhood Initiative, that's your ministry, Pastor.
I agree. I'm blessed. I really am blessed to be able to do some work where, I can see tangible benefits.
Yes.
Guys come back to me years
Yes.
ago. I met my barber, who's been cutting my hair for a long time. We talked the other day. He said, "Al, I remember when I came out of prison." Mm-hmm. He said, "First thing I did, I met you when I came out of prison. You had a father-daughter overnight camping event." He said that reunited me with my daughter after I got out. He said, "Man, we've been back together for 14 years. She just graduated from Hampton University." You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Yeah.
And you know what, guys? Here's the deal. And I tell fathers all the time, specifically fathers and mothers, we always think we got time to do things over. We got time to catch up. Man, the first time you missed that first baseball game, that's gone.
That's gone.
Yeah.
You missed the first play that your children in, that's gone. And you're going to look back and say, "Wow, I didn't get a chance to do that over." You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, and I get, kind of philosophical because we get a little bit older, at the end of the day, you will evaluate your life on the times I was there and the times I missed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then if the times that you were there are up here, and the few times you missed it down here, you're gonna be okay with yourself.
Right.
But if it's just the reverse, and you've missed the majority of times, and you was just here and there, you're gonna look, like Bobby Womack used to say, if you think you're lonely, wait until the night. And those thoughts will bring the skeletons out the closet, and you'll be saying, oh my goodness, where did the time go?
A lot of regrets.
Well, where did the time, and it's not at that late. It's not going to be about the money you made.
Nope.
It's not going to be about the success you got. It's going to be about, when was I there?
Yeah.
And what did I miss? And how did that affect my kids?
Yeah.
Trust me, guys. You might not feel it now, but you're going. There's going to be a day of reckoning. Speaking of that.
Callers, we didn't forget about you, callers. Come on and call in, man. The brothers are at the
call
table.
in 216.
That's right.
298-1554. That was some wisdom. You just gave us some wisdom because spending time with the family is a key issue. And the base is going back to what God says is about relationship. One thing I know about kids, it's not about the money. It's about love and having that relationship and just the time together, as Tony just said. It's just about that because you guys know it been crackhead moms and crackhead daddies that left the house, been gone, and then kid come back, mama, daddy. You like, they ain't no good. They still want to grab their mama and daddy because they love. It's about the love.
TC, can I jump in real quick? And
yeah.
I think my brother can piggyback on this, and I'll be real quick with this point. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, in the projects, it was 9 of us. 4 boys. It was 5 boys in 1 bedroom, 2 girls, my 2 sisters in another bedroom, and mom and dad. 1 bathroom.
My goodness.
1 bathroom. Okay.
And it probably wasn't a big bathroom.
No, it was a small bathroom. It was a small bathroom. And for some reason, the bathroom always smelled like poop. I don't know why. But I just want to say this, and I just want to talk about the commitment. I learned how to be a man because of my father, Leroy Roosevelt Robinson. This was the epitome of a husband, a father, and a man. But I'm going to tell you something on the flip side. He didn't go out with us in the park, and he didn't throw the football around with us, and he didn't show us how to bunt and hit a baseball, and he didn't take us driving and show us how to drive. But what he did was he went to work. He had 2 full-time jobs. He loved my mother, and he loved his kids, and he poured everything into us, and that's how he showed us how to be a father. Because it's not about throwing the baseball around all the time. And it's not about going to the Jets game or the Browns game and hoo. It's not about that all the time. Yeah. It's about what are you doing with the time that God gives you so that you can get your point across, so that when you grow up, which I'll be 50 years old August 2nd, okay, when you grow up, how does your father feel? Because he's looking at the fruits of his labor, the fruits of his love, the fruits of his commitment. My father was a very proud and strong, caring man, and he loved to see that all of his children did very well. That was the fruits of his commitment. And I think, Al, you talked about that a little earlier when you talked about all your brothers and sisters and brothers and where they graduated from and what schools they. That's a commitment fruit right there.
Man.
That dad up in heaven or mom up in heaven can sit down and say, I'm well pleased with what I did because I poured into him.
A quick story about that, real quick. My dad would have been 98 this year. So on his birthday, I got 3 brothers, right? I said, hey, I called each of my brothers, say, hey, let's all of us write 20 things we remember about Dad. So cumulatively, we had 80 things. And invariably, there was a theme through there. We all talked about Dad driving us to college for orientation. You know what I mean? But those are the things we remember. We remember Dad taking us to the barber for a haircut.
That's right.
You know, man, that wasn't about money. No. All 4 of us. These are 4 different things, coming from their own perspectives. If you try that, it was really therapeutic, man, for all of us to say. And certainly, we all had, it's interesting how my dad was, right? Every time we called him, whatever city we was in, hey, buddy, how you doing, right? So each of us thought, I'm the special guy, right? Because he called me buddy, right? Hey, he called all of us.
It's funny you said that. My father, I mean, I remember us taking us to basketball practice.
Right.
Yeah.
He took both my sisters went to Florida A&M. I went to Tennessee State. All of us graduates.
Yeah.
And we had a red Malibu Classic
There you go,
station
man.
wagon
Station wagon.
with the luggage on top,
Come on,
tied
man.
down.
Oh.
And not only
yeah.
did we go to both Florida and Tennessee, the other students there called us the Stitzwalds because we looked like Chevy Chase.
Hey, Mike, what? And so you do that kind of stuff. You found out news. I found out that my dad took my younger brother Tony to Yale in New Haven the same day that my other brother got married. After the wedding, he drove all night from Ohio to New Haven to take him to freshman orientation. Now, come on, man. Come on, man. You just finished a wedding, and you're tired, but then, okay, we gotta go. Come on, man.
Can I add
About your father? Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
And I want to ask Al to speak to this. We have one issue that we're always dealing with in Rochester when it comes to getting the dads together. It's great to see the dads come together with the children to walk them to school, to be a part of it, to read to children. But sometimes the child has a hard time reconnecting with the dad. And I'd like you to speak to reconciliation and what that looks like for dads and children and dads and mothers.
Okay. Well, the first thing is, you have to make amends.
Yes.
The first thing is, guys come to me and say, well, I'll use this as an example, and because it's real life, right? She come to me and said, well, I'm having a hard time, reconnecting with my child, my daughter. And I said, well, where you been? Well, I've been in jail for the last 3 years. Well, wait a minute. You got some work to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got some amends to do. You got to go back and you got to say, hey, you can't just go from point A to point Z. You got to come back and say, hey, babe, I'm sorry. I've been gone away 3 years. I understand me not being here. You held it down. Because most times you didn't go to jail involuntarily. You did something to get there. So you go, hey, you got to recognize, listen, okay, you held it down for me. That's the truth while I was gone. All right, I recognize that. But I'm here now. I'm better as a result of what I went through.
Yes.
You can trust me now. My son can trust me that I'm not going away again. That's the thing. You can't bounce in and out. You know what I mean? You can't be here this week and then come back 3 months later and think everything to be hokey-dory. Sometimes, guys, we have to earn that trust.
Yes.
Because the worst thing you can do, is give the children the opinion that you're going to be around and then disappear again.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We guys.
Yeah, you gotta have that structure.
You gotta have that structure. You gotta recognize what the problems were and work through those problems and own up. Own up, guys. If for some reason, like I said, most things that happen in the world don't just happen. There's something
Cause and
that
effect.
Cause and effect.
So you
Yes,
got to
sir.
deal with that.
Yes, sir.
You can't just forget those kind of things, And like I said, that's all part of reconciliation. And sometimes you have to even have those kind of talks with your children, like we know about. Hey, listen, Dad wasn't there. I was going through some issues, me and Mom, and I realized, that. But I'm here now.
Yes.
You can trust me now. And not only am I going to say that, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up at parent-teacher conference. If you need a ride somewhere, whether it's convenient. See, being a parent is doing things when it's not convenient.
Yes.
We always can do stuff when, I don't have anything else planned.
Right.
But hey, if you got something planned with the boys and your son calls you and says, even if you're not living there, and your son says, hey, Dad, I need a ride to practice, what's your priority?
Right.
The boys are gone, man.
Right.
That's what
That's right.
parenthood is.
And if I can say this, TC, as well, Minister TC preached a conference. We had an awesome men's conference just a couple of weeks ago. and it was just give me Jesus. And it was just, it sounds so simplistic, but it just takes you back with the conference that Minister TC preached. It takes us back to the foundation, and it takes us back to the basics. So the basics is that what these men need to realize is just give me Jesus. First, acknowledge that there's someone that's greater than you are. Because sometimes as dads, we seem to think that we're just the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we're not. We're not. We're just a wretch undone. Okay, trying to make it in like everybody else. But if you go back to the basics, and if you say, just give me Jesus, what would Jesus have us to do? First off, Jesus wants us to repent to him. And he wants us to ask for forgiveness for the things that we did wrong.
Yes.
The offenses that we came against, and what we did wrong. And some of these things that we don't think that we can recover from. And secondly, which I believe this is also important, the men need to realize that as part of the redemption process, you have to forgive yourself.
Yes.
Because you can beat yourself up long enough and hard enough to make you feel like you're not validated no more, you're incomplete, and you're obsolete. Men, we have to be able to stop the outside distractions and forgive ourselves for some of the things. Now, it's easy for us to forgive people.
That's sometimes.
But you know, in life, you know, there's a lot of things that we cannot control. But certain things, the things that are within our control are the things we need to do. You know, we can control, like I said, you can go through the steps to have legal custody. You can control that. You can control the amount of time you spend with your child. You can control the amount of commitment you can show to your child. Those are within us to do. Now, some of that stuff that we want to blame, a lot of times we want to blame outside forces for stuff that we have within our control.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Whatever, what we can control. And the other thing is, you know, we have a father-daughter dance every year. One of the things is I tell the kids, all right, I tell the dads to show stand up, and I say, look at your daughter or your sitting there. I say, I love you, and then I reverse the role. I tell the kids, hey, tell daddy I love you, and they say, well, Al, that sounds simple. I said, yeah, but how many times do you watch a show on TV and somebody says, I never heard my father say I love you? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So tell your kids you love them, and you know, and then follow through, guys.
That's a good point, because everybody grew up differently. And when I was growing up, me and my father never said that. And so sometimes when you in a situation and you don't learn it, you do the same thing. You grow up and not saying the same thing. So that's a very good point. Sometimes we don't get all the things that we should have in life, but as we grow up, we need to learn that we need to learn how to get them. Even if we got to go through counseling, because a lot of, especially black community, we don't believe in a lot of counseling right now. We need to go to counseling, get these things that we are missing in life, so we could have a full wellness life and be able to do things. But I'm going to address this to the panel and let y'all give us a comment. What do a father do when he's not in the picture and another man come in and he gets jealous that he's taking over his fatherhood with his son or daughter? Because a lot of time that happen, a man not in the picture, he gets jealous when his woman or his ex-wife or whatever get another man, and he comes in and doing the job. He gets jealous and cause chaos.
So
how do y'all address
you just gonna just open up Pandora's box right now, right? You just gonna open up the box and want us to jump in right now.
I know we only got a few minutes, so let me just. So I'm dating a young lady who has a 14-year-old son, whose father is in the picture, but financially has not been very supportive. In fact, has not given hardly any support.
Only financially, or is he there?
He comes around when it's convenient.
Okay.
But the son idolizes daddy. Okay. To the point where it's driving mom crazy, because she's doing all these things that, I mean, in her, you know, she thinks she's doing everything that boy needs to become a man, and then he constantly runs back to dad.
Right.
And so as the third party, me, you know, I tend to just try to show support and love to both her and the son, and I'm not opposed to that. You know, I'm not against him having a relationship with his son, because I think it's important that he does. I just, I have my struggle is how to foster a relationship for all to be involved in that child's life, you know, productively. And I know we have a caller.
Yeah, we got a caller on the line, guys.
We got a caller. Welcome, caller. Welcome to Chop it Up.
Go ahead, caller. Let me turn your volume up. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Edna Robinson. Tony's my husband on the panel.
Hey. What's up, Rochester?
Well, I have a question that I would love the panel to try to answer. That question is, if you're a man who loves your children, but the mother of your children is not allowing you to talk to them, or he's influencing them negatively against the father, how do you handle that? Because that is a big issue in our community, and I think that it inhibits the relationships from going any further, because if you're not with the woman any longer and the mother is the primary caretaker, you know, she has a lot of influence over those children. So how would you handle that?
That's why I talk about consistency. Guys, that's why you got to build one-on-one relationships with your children from the beginning. I have 2 daughters. I've been divorced twice. But with each of my daughters, me and my daughters established a father-daughter relationship. So that we're so well bonded, not lately, but from the time that they were born.
Yes.
That there's nothing you can't break that bond.
Right.
Now at this point, and I'll say this honestly. And both of my daughters would agree. Both my ex-wives, who are great women, great mothers to my children, but they'll say this, that you know what. If one of my ex-wives would say, "Hey, you just like your daddy," you know what my girls will say? "Thank you," because I love Pop. You know, that me and Dad have this relationship now. What you say about him, that's personal. That's something you guys got to work on. Right. But as far as my relationship with Dad, we're cool.
That's good.
We're cute. There's nothing you can say about me that, you know, has any legitimacy, because they've seen, you know, my actions speak louder than words.
That's right.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Right from the jump.
I seen Daddy in action.
I see Daddy and me.
That's right.
I can't say enough about that one-on-one relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
You got to establish. Mothers do that as well. They establish relationships as mothers, and fathers establish relationships as fathers. And you know, at the end of the day, they're going to, if they have to choose, they're going to say, well, who was there for me the most? And most of the times, if you've both been there, they're not going. That's going to be your choice. I love them both.
Yes.
I love them both.
You know, we got less than 2 minutes, but I'm going to tell everybody this. Negativity will always come around, but the main 2 things that will stand out at the end is truth and love. Yes. That will always come out in the wash. Right. Truth and love. You don't got to bash with bash. You don't got to hate the situation. If you got daddy problems, father problems, mother problems, whatever, one solution, I guarantee you, can fix it all, and that's your trust in Jesus Christ. If you don't know him, say, Lord, help me today. Come into my heart. Show me, Lord, what you want me to do. I trust you. Change my life, and watch him move in your life. Come back in 2 weeks to chop it up and see what we're talking about. If you like this program, do a little comments. Say if you want part 2, we can do a part 2. God bless. Thank all my panels. I want to thank you all. Love y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Hello.
And hair grease.